In the last video, I showed a new look for the game. My goal was to push the game in a unique direction and explore an underutilized visual style. However, based on feedback, it was clear that more work was needed in this area. The first thing I looked at was the color scheme. I wanted to invoke imagery of old computers with the green backgrounds, and I wanted to keep the player and enemies readable with the bright blue and red. However, the colors really didn't work together. Using red, green and blue clashed horribly. So I experimented with the color and tried many different color schemes to find one that fit. This is what I settled on. I kept the blue for the player, used cyan for the backgrounds, and used a red tinted ever so slightly pink for the enemies. The result is colours that look far more cohesive together. The next thing I looked at was the shaders I was using. Before, having complete black in the background left the game looking very dark and empty. It was clear that I needed to bring back more colour. I first tried just giving objects their original colour at a lower brightness. However, this looked flat and out of place. My next idea was to use Fresnel. Fresnel represents how sheer of an angle a surface is viewed at. This is typically used to control the intensity of reflections. In my case, I multiplied it by each object's colour to give a cool glow effect. This was a subtle effect, but it really brightened up the game and made it feel much less empty. An issue with the old visuals is that a lot of the finer details I modelled on enemies and the player are lost in the outlines. Outlines just appear like messy blobs of colour instead of being clear. To fix this, I created new models with less fine detail. I decided to really focus on the enemy's key features and exaggerate them so that they would be clearly visible from far away. The result is enemies that are far more distinct and easy to distinguish in-game, although I do still keep the old models for the sake of close-ups. I also made improvements to the way outlines were generated. Initially, each pixel would check for edges up, down, to the left and right. However, now it also checks diagonals. This gives much more accurate outlines, especially at lower resolutions. With all these changes, the game looks far more appealing, while still keeping the unique look I wanted. The game will be available for wishlist on Steam very soon, so make sure to subscribe to be the first to know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.